You're listening to Inside Real Estate with Irv Tremblay on Newstalk 980.
And welcome back to Inside Real Estate with Irv Tremblay of Irv Tremblay Realty, Inc. Thanks so much for being here, Irv. And let's talk about the holiday season. Buying and selling, it's a stressful time of year, and a lot of people think spring is the time to sell, the time to buy, but that may not necessarily be the case.
Absolutely, it's not the case. It is all about supply and demand and time of year. So if I was a buyer, there is no doubt that most of the time December is the best month to buy for several reasons. Sellers aren't expecting a buyer. They've been on the market. They think everything's slow. A buyer comes along. They haven't had that many showings in December. Often they will take less money for their home in December.
Really?
You can usually buy a home for less money in December than any other month.
I had no idea.
So you're a buyer.
Okay.
Buy in December. If you are a seller, you always want to be on the market if you want to sell your house, and you want to be on the market when you have the least amount of competition. Well, if we look at these numbers, we talked about numbers recently and this morning, 513 listings. That's probably the lowest number we've had since possibly July. And I did some market evaluations for some clients recently, and I looked in their areas. It was hardly anything for sale, whereas a month ago they might have had 10 homes that they were competing with. So you always have to look at that supply and demand. And what you have to look at as well, you're not going to get as many showings if you're a seller in the month of December. You know, our weather hasn't been that great.
Yeah.
So if you get a buyer calling and wanting to look at your house when we've had all these storms, all this snow, the roads are bad, they're usually not a tire kicker. They're a pretty motivated buyer.
Absolutely.
And if they've managed to get an agent out in that kind of weather, that agent isn't going to be taking them out unless they're a now buyer. I guarantee you that. They won't be. So when you look at that, you know, it's busy and you have family over at Christmas and an agent calls and they want to show your home. I would try and accommodate them the best you can, because you got to know it's a motivated buyer, and I can tell you it is a very motivated agent that knows they have a motivated buyer, or they wouldn't be out showing a house on Boxing Day.
Excellent advice from Irv Tremblay.
Sure.
Now, how many people are flipping homes? I know that, there's the big phenomenon on television reality shows, flip this house, flip that house, make $1 million.
Yeah.
That still happens a lot, does it not?
Well, I think the idea of flipping happens a lot, but
Yeah.
sometimes they start to flip and they don't flip, they kind of flop. And that can cost you money, that flopping part,
big
if
money.
you don't know what you're doing. And so many people trying to get into this, read these books, listen to these shows, and again, this person gets paid when you read the book, not
Sure.
when you make the money on flipping the house
Yeah.
or you watch the program. Very simple, it seems, but it is complicated, and it can cost you a lot of money. And if you're a husband and wife team, it can cause a little bit of friction in the family if this idea, and often it's the man's idea, honey, let's do this, we can flip this house, can cause a little bit of friction if you lose $40,000 or $50,000 in this little venture.
Oh, a little bit of marital strife, I'm sure.
And it happens.
Yeah.
I was late today because I was on a listing appointment.
Okay.
And these were people that wanted to get into the business. They formed a corporation. They wanted to get into the business of flipping houses. They'd never done it before. First mistake is they don't get the advice of a top agent to guide them as to what to buy is a good flip house. They call the listing agent. Well, the listing agent wants to sell their listing. They don't care about you and your flipping. Then they don't use the agent to guide them how much money to spend and what to spend the money on.
Okay.
So these people bought this property. The location is so-so. They did a fabulous job inside. Fabulous. This house is stunning.
So by fabulous and stunning, do you also mean expensive?
Expensive.
Yeah.
And I'd be the worst guy to flip a house. I would lose my shirt. I'd be homeless. I'd have, a Safeway card out on 11th Avenue here, because I like quality, and I
Yeah.
couldn't see the profit. And I think you have to have some quality, but you have to, you can't go with, total granite countertops and redo everything. You have to make that house show well, but spend money where you're going to get a return. Agents can help you with this, and they can say, listen, if you buy this house for $300,000, you don't want to spend any more than $340 because I can only get you $390, and here's what your profit margin is going to be. They don't do that. They only call us typically when they're in trouble. And so, first off, they'll try and sell the house on their own, and
which
then
we
they'll
know
call
doesn't
an
work.
agent. And these people, they didn't interview agents. They went with an agent that didn't have a great track record, but they had this wonderful idea of what's going to sell their house and get them the most amount of money is their website and a company giving them internet hits. Well, you can have all kinds of internet hits, but if they're not from the right people, it isn't going to work.
No.
Just like, God forbid, having a public open house. You know, you can have 100 people running through that house. Typically 4% can buy. So it's not about the hits. It's about who you're going to get into that house that's a now buyer. So they hired an agent. The agent said, we've done all kinds of research on price. Your house should be, let's give you an example, mid-4s, mid-400,000. Wow. That sounded great.
Ooh, huge.
Ka-ching, I'm going to make all this money. Well, pretty soon, 8 showings in 2 months, no offers. They gave them a report on hits on the website, but they didn't give them a report on what happened to the buyer. That agent didn't go out and try and sell those agents on writing an offer. They didn't get the meat of what works in a listing. They got the fluff, they got the smoke and mirrors that's very normal in our business. House didn't sell, reduced it around $30,000, still didn't sell. The agent didn't know why it wasn't selling. The seller, this is the most interesting thing, said, we've got a picture that's a summer picture and there's 3 feet of snow. Should we take a new one? And this is a new one on me.
Okay.
The agent responded by saying, no, you want to show them the summer grass and what it looks in the summer. You can do that with auxiliary photos, but that first picture that they see, when a buyer sees summer grass and we've got 4 feet of snow, it rings bells that the house is stale.
Yeah, why isn't anybody buying this house? It's been on the market since June. Yeah.
I went through a comparative market analysis, and they had a feeling the price was a bit high, but they put their trust in an agent that knew what they were doing. 10 minutes, I showed them that all of the houses similar to them were selling from $340 to $379. They started at the mid-4s. All they did during that period was help sell the competition. And they said to me, when we were on the market, and I said, I don't want to break it to you, but you weren't on the market. Here's the price. Here's what I can net you. And I'm not going to tell you a price that you need, want, or wish for. I'm going to tell you a price that will cause this house to sell, that actually the house shows will be top market dollar. It may not be the number you're looking for, but this is what I can get you for the house, and this is how I'm going to get you out of this problem. And if you decide to carry on with this business, here's how I'm going to guide you to flip these houses and make money. And it comes right from that location, what to do in the house, how to market the house. So those are the things that people thinking about flipping, again, they should give me a call. And they can call me January 1 if they want with the expired listings, and we'll try and help them out.
Awesome. So that's obviously a case of a real estate agent giving bad advice. And there's, about 400 agents in the city of Regina?
Sure.
In your experience, how many of those agents, by your standards, are well-trained agents that you would use yourself to buy or sell a home?
Out of 400?
Yeah.
You really like to put me on the spot.
I do.
There would be no more than 20 on my list to list my house.
Wow.
Yeah, that's all. Agents don't spend enough time in training and educating themselves and honing their profession. They just don't. And the public doesn't know any different.
And that's why you need to find the right agent. The right agent could be I'm going to pick this up. And that right agent could be found with Irv Tremblay Realty, Irv Tremblay Realty, Inc., Turn the key, caller today at 790-3753. Irv, all the best to you and yours during the holiday season, and Merry Christmas.
You as well.
Check out Irv's website, irvsells.ca. You've been listening to Inside Real Estate on Newstalk 980 CJME.